Welcome to Inside the Lines, presented by BetMGM. Joined by Rachel Dory and Edward Egros, I'm Olivia Harlan Dekker. Okay, let's start on the defensive side of the ball and discuss the Defensive Player of the Year race. The Browns may have given up 38 points to the Colts last week, but Myles Garrett had a huge game, recording 9 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and a blocked kick. He was doing it all. His performance saw his odds jump up almost 40%, making him the new favorite. TJ Watt recorded his first interception of the season against the Rams, tying him for the second best odds with Micah Parsons at plus 225. Rachel, are you buying Myles Garrett at his new price tag or looking elsewhere?
I'm buying Myles Garrett, Olivia. Honestly, when you look at this, Micah Parsons, he's missed a couple of games. I like TJ Watt a lot, but there just isn't enough value on TJ Watt's line for me to ignore Myles Garrett, who right now at plus 200, there is still some value there. Myles Garrett, you look at just last week, that was a Defensive Player of the Year type performance. But Cleveland has arguably the best defense in the NFL, and he's the leader of that defense. So it's pretty hard to ignore. And when you're getting this at long odds at plus 200, this is definitely a spot not only with value, but it's got a pretty high likelihood of playing out too. I really like Myles Garrett here to continue to just kind of be dominant on the defensive side of the ball for Cleveland.
Absolutely. Edward, which player are you backing to win this award?
I love confirmation bias. And so, Rachel, thank you so much for that as this nice gift here. This market can be challenging to project. My model says that sacks are highly predictive of winning the honor above most any other statistic. And while Garrett doesn't have the most right now, what can be predictive of future sacks is quarterback pressures. And guess what? Myles Garrett has the highest pressure rate among qualifying edge rushers. His run stuffs have been fantastic. Plays on special teams have been unbelievable. And to me, I think he is the complete package, much more so than, say, some of the other favorites in this market. Now, if you're feeling nuts, I think Danielle Hunter, 66-1, maybe even Josh Allen with the Jaguars at 100-1 could still be in the running. But as far as those at the top of the board, I think Myles Garrett still offers some value.
Okay, I like it. Confirmation bias. Let's stick with futures, but widen the picture from players to teams. So the odds to win the AFC, the Chiefs look like the clear frontrunner to win the AFC after winning their 6th straight game. Their odds moved up 20% from plus 250 to plus 200. Miami lost their second game of the season, resulting in an 11% drop to plus 500. And the Ravens dominated the Lions in Baltimore, making them tied for third with the Bills at plus 650 after Buffalo's shocking, very shocking upset loss to the Patriots. However, with the Chiefs clearly the best team, we're removing them from the equation just for the purposes of this discussion. So, Edward, which team besides the Chiefs are you betting on to win the AFC?
Couple of approaches to this. First off, you look at power ratings, and certainly mine back the Bills and the Ravens. But then I also wanted to look at which team matches up better against Kansas City. And as far as that's concerned, I like the Ravens at plus 650. If this were to become a shootout between the Chiefs and the Ravens, say in the AFC Championship game, I think Lamar Jackson can keep up with that. But I also think Baltimore's defense would prevent any kind of shootout. They are second in defensive success rate, win in man coverage per Next Gen Stats, with safety Kyle Hamilton leading the way. He's also been a great Swiss Army knife in that secondary. Roquan Smith has been a great sack artist. Brandon Stevens is growing up before our very eyes. To me, they are the third or second best team in the AFC. They also match up well with the Chiefs. And so give me Baltimore here.
Okay, I like the Ravens there. Rachel, I know you've been high on Miami all season. Are you sticking with the Dolphins?
I am sticking with the Dolphins. I'm sticking with my fishies. I really like the Dolphins. I'm not even a Dolphins fan. My model really likes them. Honestly, you look at it, their offense is out of this world good. And now they're getting Jeff Wilson back, so you have some variety. When Devin Achane comes back, it's going to be a crowded running back room, but that offense is just so dynamic when those running backs are incorporated. Then you've got obviously Cheetah and Jalen Waddle, and then you've got kind of Durham Smythe, who's really sort of announced himself as a premier tight end for the Miami Dolphins. He can block. He can also catch the ball. And so while he hasn't scored a touchdown yet, he is getting red zone targets, which speaks to the fact that Tua trusts him. I look at this and I agree with Edward in that Baltimore definitely has the best defense set up to beat Kansas City. But I think at some point you have to be able to outplay the Kansas City offense. And there's really only one offense in the league right now that I think could do that, and it's Miami's.
Okay, I like it. Let's get to Fade the Public. It's my favorite segment, really, because we get to narrow the focus on week 8 and discuss who the public is betting on. And as successful as they've been this season, last week let them down. It was rough. Of the 9 spreads the public was all over, only 1 went in their favor. Shout out to the Seahawks for covering the 8.5-point spread versus the Cardinals. So let's take a look at what the public is backing this week. Let's focus on these totals. An AFC East clash between the Dolphins and Patriots features one of the higher totals this week at 46. However, 75% of early bets are on the under. Only 2 of New England's games this season have gone over, which one was last week, and their big upset over the Bills, of course, where the game finished with 54 points. Rachel, are you fading the public, thinking that the Patriots might have figured out something on offense?
I'm actually in a no bet kind of situation here. I would love to fade the public, but my model has this at 45.7. And so when we're talking about being within 1 point, it's kind of got it pinned right on the number here. And I think, honestly, if I'm going anywhere, I might be leaning under. I am not entirely convinced that the New England Patriots, specifically Mac Jones, have figured it out. You need to do it for more than 1 week and probably more than 2 to convince me that you have figured your offense out. And so when I look at this, I think that we're in a situation where Miami is going to be able to put up points, and then they're probably going to run the ball to kill the clock. And yes, the Patriots can pick up kind of points here, but I think you're going to see them, like Miami isn't missing Matt Milano, Tre'Davious White, any of those guys. Like, they have their starters on defense, and while their defense isn't as good as Buffalo's, it's still better than Buffalo's, arguably, without those 2 key players. And so for me, it's pinned right on the number. It's unfortunately a no bet.
So you're sticking with the fishies still.
Fishies.
Edward, do you think the public's right here?
If I were with the public, I would be swimming with the fishies. I got a no play here as well. Part of the problem is if you're looking at which teams play up tempo to where we have more possessions, more drives, it's actually the Patriots who resort to that no huddle more often. 13.1% per NFE load versus the Dolphins 4.5%. More simply, New England just leads the way with the fewest seconds per play at roughly 26.5 seconds, compared with Miami's 28 seconds. Now, part of it is, well, Miami just scores a lot, so they don't necessarily need to play up tempo. But I don't know if this game were to be close, if that perhaps happens. Problem is, we've seen the Patriots offense not score with Mac Jones at the helm. Don't succumb to recency bias as far as the last game. Look at the entire body of work. So that is a big question mark for me. And all in all, there are too many conflicting forces to where I think the number is about right. I don't have a play on this.
Okay, I like it. Let's go from the AFC East to the AFC West for a second total that the public is loving, also at 46. Even though we just saw the Chiefs beat the Broncos 19-8 2 weeks ago on a Thursday night game in Kansas City, 70% of early bets are on the over at 46 in the divisional battle between the Chiefs and Broncos in Denver. With the amount of unders this season, it's no surprise that both teams have combined for 5 straight unders. Edward, are the numbers telling you to fade the early bets here?
I am going over here. I don't put a lot of stock in the last meeting. Red zone performance isn't sticky from one game to the next. And that Pat Mahomes and company went 1 of 5 scoring touchdowns in the red zone in that game. That's just fluky, given how porous the Broncos' pass defense has been. There are also injuries to the Chiefs defense to where I could see Russell Wilson doing just enough with his average output to do his share. And look, it has been an average season for Russell Wilson. Not great, not terrible. 13th in overall PFF grade, 18th in adjusted EPA per play when taking out garbage time. I think Broncos do enough. The Chiefs can certainly do enough. I think this game can go over.
Rachel, what do you think? Are you with the public on this one?
I'm fading the public on this one, and I know that it can be dangerous, but I have to trust my model, especially where the totals are concerned. And I've got this at almost 39 points. So we're talking about a 7-point chasm here of difference for me. It's a lot of value. I probably wouldn't be comfortable taking it if it got to like 43. I don't think it's going to get there though. And you look at this, red zone effectiveness isn't a spot that is kind of a momentum carrier, but when you look at how Denver and Kansas City match up, there aren't enough throwing weapons for Denver to move the ball effectively. And Patrick Mahomes has kind of shown, yes, he's willing to spread the ball around, but when push comes to shove, he's going to those small plays to Travis Kelce and seeing if he can get the yards after the catch. And so I think in this situation, you look at it, my model thinks that this is going to be a game that Kansas City is sort of dominant in and is just able to kind of run the ball and run the clock out. And so this is a situation where I am going to fade the total here and fade the public, because you look at what happened a couple of weeks ago and you combine that with we're not really sure what the weather is going to be like. There's a couple instances here where I think that this is most likely to go under, as well as the model thinks the same.
Okay, as we are going into week 8, we can finally start to put together some trends and back them. So let's continue to talk about spreads, but looking at the trends, the AFC South and NFC South have matched up 5 times already this season, with the AFC South covering the spread in all 5, thanks to the Texans and Jaguars covering twice. We have 3 games this week between these divisions. So the Titans are 3-point dogs while hosting the Falcons. Colts are a 1-point underdog hosting the Saints, and the Texans are a 3-point favorite on the road in Carolina. Rachel, which AFC South team is continuing the trend this weekend?
I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans, and I'll tell you why, Olivia. Number one, they are considered the dog in this situation, and my model thinks they should be the favorite. And so right away, we've got some value there. I think when you look at this, you're going to see a ton of work for Derrick Henry. You're going to see Will Levis. Yes, he is a rookie quarterback, but that also means that they haven't really had a chance to evaluate what he's like against a defense. And yes, there are some rookie jitters, but I think at this point, you're going to see Tennessee stick to what they know best, and that is Derrick Henry. And so when you look at that, he's a really sure-handed running back, somebody who can run out the clock. And I mean, let's face it, the Atlanta pass defense is better with the young rookie that they have than their rush defense. And I think Derrick Henry is somebody who has proven he can play against a good rush defense or a bad rush defense and dominate either way. I really like the Titans here in this spot. I think they're undervalued.
Yeah, apparently they're playing Will Levis and Malik Willis, so 2 quarterbacks for Atlanta to prepare for. It'll be a tough one. Edward, who are you backing on this trend?
We're 2 for 2 on the Titans. I am backing Tennessee here, and my model is perhaps a little bit more bearish as far as the Titans' chances to win outright. I've got this as Falcons minus, say, 1.75, but maybe it's more of a lean, but I'm still going to back the Titans here with Will Levis, actually getting some playing time. And while it may be a bit of a step back in terms of someone with NFL experience, I don't want to make much of a tweak as far as the quarterback change, given Tennessee is coming off of a bye. Falcons have still struggled with any kind of consistency in this passing game. Turnovers have led to Desmond Ridder having the 5th worst EPA per drop back when under pressure. I think it's the Titans pass rushers who keep this game close.
Okay, I like it. Let's stick with a similar theme and just change divisions. We've got the AFC North versus NFC West. The AFC North is again taking care of business against the NFC West, going 4-1-1 against the spread this season, with the only loss coming back in week 1 when the 49ers beat the Steelers. In fact, the AFC North has covered in 4 straight against the NFC West. We have 3 games between these divisions this week, with each NFC West team at home. So the Browns are a 3.5-point underdog at the Seahawks. Ravens favored by almost double digits in Arizona. Bengals 3.5-point underdog at the 49ers. So Edward, are you going with one of the AFC North underdogs or the big favorite?
I have got 2 AFC North teams that I think can cover the numbers here, and it would be a clean sweep, but my question is, with Sam Darnold likely starting for the Niners, the health of Joe Burrow, that to me is just too big of an unknown regardless of what my model is telling me. So I'm going to make that a stay away, but as far as the other 2, I feel good about the Browns and the Ravens. First off, when it comes to the game against Seattle, I have this as -1, not -3.5. There may be a Geno Smith problem here that we need to come to grips with. It's got a negative EPA per drop back in 2 of his last 3 games. And the one that wasn't was against the Cardinals. And we know what the Cardinals aren't capable of. So there is that. And for the Ravens, you could move this spread to 10 and my model would still like the value. There is no better quarterback when using play action than Lamar Jackson. 61.5% success rate per NGS, passer rating of nearly 123. If you haven't figured out by now, I'm a big Lamar Jackson backer.
I think we figured it out by now, and I am too, for the record. I'm with you. Rachel, which AFC North team are you backing?
That makes three of us because I am also a Ravens backer. I look at this and I actually have this modeled out closer to 16, and I'm comfortable taking it minus 12, minus 13 even. Honestly, this is a situation where you look at it and Lamar Jackson, like Edward pointed out, against the pass rush, he is absolutely incredible. He can scramble. He showed last week that he actually can scramble now. And instead of just running like he used to a couple of years ago, he can find the player downfield. I think this is a situation where Zay Flowers is going to be able to run all over the Cardinals defense, who aren't particularly good at defending. And when you look at that offense, it's very discombobulated. You've got no James Conner. You've got no Kyler Murray. There are so many things that have gone wrong for the Cardinals. It's kind of been Murphy's Law a little bit this season. And I love the Ravens. And so I look at this and I go, when the model backs them and you've got 5 or 6 points of value, that's a spot you really need to take. And honestly, if I put Kyler Murray in the lineup, then it's a whole lot closer. But without Kyler Murray, the model just cannot back the Cardinals at any stage.
Okay, I like it. A lot of confidence. It's time for primetime props now. So we're going to share our favorite prop in one of the primetime games. Can be Sunday night or Monday night. Rachel, why don't you go first?
Yeah, so I'm not loving anything that's on the board right now. But the one thing that I kind of like to do when I don't love a spot value-wise is I go to things that trend well. Austin Eckler against the Chicago Bears. You look at Austin Eckler to get a touchdown here. I mean, this is going to be a high-scoring game, right? With the new quarterback for the Bears, and you've got Justin Herbert, who's capable of putting up points for the Chargers. Neither defense is capable of stopping a paper bag at this point. And so this seems like point night. And Austin Eckler is somebody that the Chargers are going to look to get the ball more to now that he's back from injury. And so I like Austin Eckler, whether it's a receiving touchdown or a rushing touchdown against the Bears. I think he finds the end zone here.
Okay, I like it. You got to watch that ankle, though. He retweaked that ankle in Kansas City.
He did. Yep. It's just one of those things. I feel like he could be kind of similar to McCaffrey. Like they're going to bring him in for like the really key snaps.
Yep. And I like a touchdown there. Edward, which primetime prop is catching your eye?
Well, let's stick with Bears Chargers, shall we? Let's continue the trend. And DJ Moore over 58.5 receiving yards at minus 115. I like it just enough to place a bet on it. Moore ranks 9th in team air yard share. And look, last year, led the league in that department when he was with the Panthers. And so I think because of the Bears' slow start offensively, that's why we haven't seen more of DJ Moore. But I think as they start to sort of come to grips with what they want to do with the passing attack, regardless of who the quarterback is, I think that means DJ Moore has ample opportunities to where, I wouldn't say the data's flawed, like data's never flawed, but it's something where I probably would trust my recency bias a little bit more than, say, those early games. And I think DJ Moore can get to 59.
Okay, before we wrap up our Week 8 episode, we're going to give you our blue chip bets. It's our best bet. Anything we love, spread, money line, total, prop, whatever we want. Rachel, what is your blue chip bet?
So I'm going to take Christian McCaffrey, Kel Surprise, to score a touchdown this week. He scored a touchdown in 16 straight weeks. And if you were to start with $100 and roll it over, you'd be up 500 grand right now. And, that's like a down payment on a house where I live. So I think I'm just going to trust Christian McCaffrey here. I've got him projected as the most likely touchdown scorer this week. You look at it, there is no Brock Purdy, and that is a concern. But I think that kind of bodes well for Christian McCaffrey's usage. They are going to have to rely on Christian McCaffrey. I would not trust Sam Darnold in the red zone to throw the ball. And so I think when you see the 49ers in the red zone, that ball is going right to McCaffrey almost all of the time. That's something you kind of just have to trust here is the guy scored in 16 straight games. It's probably reasonable to think he'll score in 17, especially considering the Bengals defense has been debatable in terms of stopping the run this year.
Kel Surprise, c'est bon, our Canadian resident. Edward, what's your blue chip bet for the people?
$500,000. I think that's like a month's rent where I live. So there is that. So good. This is a hold your nose bet. So, everyone hold your nose here because this one's going to get gross. I'm backing Carolina +3. The winless team, I think, can cover the number against Houston. My model says the Texans should only be favored by about 1 here. And look, it's a battle between 2 rookie quarterbacks, so you know to expect volatility, right? Interceptions by Bryce Young, yeah, they've been killers, but in terms of completion percentage over expected, it's Young who's made the tougher throws compared with CJ Stroud. Throws beyond 10 air yards is why Stroud is the favorite to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, and that's fine. With a new play caller and a bye week to work through those issues, Carolina has got to win a game at some point, right?
Is that a hypothetical question or?
Rhetorical, yes, very rhetorical.
Got it. Yeah. No, I like it. And I like something innovative. Very good. Very good. Thanks so much for everyone watching Inside the Lines. You know, we'll be back every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern, and we'll see you next week.